What is up, everyone? My name is Joseph, and welcome to episode number 1 of Bossing Till Broke. Now, I understand that name may be confusing because usually when you PVM, you're making money and not losing money, but I'm a sucker for alliteration and there is a reason behind the name, so let me explain that now. So the idea behind this series is I'll be using a specified type of gear, so whether that be a low-level build, a mid-level build, or a max gear build. So I'll be selling my bank in order to get the gear needed for the specific boss encounter, and then I'll be using whatever cash I have left or a set amount depending on the situation, and just use that money for supplies, and I'll be doing nothing else on my account except for bossing. So we'll be bossing until our cash stack is at 0 or technically broke, and we'll see what type of loot tab we have. Now, just so you guys know, this is primarily streamed on my Twitch channel, so if you want to watch this live when I start the next episode, head on over to twitch.tv/Wylor and hit that follow button to know when I go live. Or if you just like watching the summaries and you're not subscribed already, just subscribe to this channel and hopefully they'll be coming out on a semi-regular basis. That being said, if there is a boss you want to see done in this style, let me know in the comments. I'll probably be using the most requested boss and the most requested gear build. So whether it be a low tier build, a mid tier build, or a max gear build, I'll probably be doing that for episode number 2. So if there is a boss you want to see done, or there's a specific level of gear that you want to see it done in, let me know. But let's just get into this episode. And in this episode, we are doing Vorkath. And this is the inventory and gear setup that I ended up using. And I'll put the quick prayers down there as well, just in case you're curious. And realistically, this was max gear aside from the shield. I couldn't afford the shield, but it's really almost a negligible difference since it does just give a little bit of range accuracy. It's not a make or break type of item. So I'd consider this almost max gear. So something that I wanted to do with this episode that may be different from future episodes is kind of document my change in mindset throughout the kills. So I have a few clips coming up of just some live commentary, one a little bit earlier on and one about halfway through, and just to kind of show you what my mindset and what my priorities were while actually learning this boss. I started this series with 70 KC, never having used the Dragon Hunter crossbow, so I wasn't very experienced on the boss when I started, so I thought it would be interesting to track that progress. So in a few seconds, I'll play those clips, one again towards the beginning of the kills, and then one towards the middle, and you can just see what I was experiencing while learning the boss. But before I do that, I want to just quickly go over the method that I ended up using. So as you can tell, I'm using the Dragon Hunter crossbow with Full Elite Void and the Salve Amulet E. And since I'm using a one-handed weapon, I'm able to use an anti-dragonfire shield. And this is important. Since I'm using the shield and the extended super anti-fire, those two things are enough to completely negate the dragonfire attacks from Vorkath, meaning I'm able to pray ranged. And this is pretty big because Vorkath is actually more often going to attack with range than he will with dragonfire. So you'll be taking less damage using the shield than you would using the blowpipe and praying mage. So this allows you to do more kills per trip and allows you to get more kills per hour in total, obviously increasing the amount of kills per hour. And then the Dragon Hunter crossbow just does massive amounts of damage, so that also is another reason to use the one-handed weapon. So that pretty much wraps up the method and the gear I was using. So I'm going to quickly play those clips and then we'll go over the numbers. We'll talk about how many kills I got, how many deaths I had, what our profit was, and we'll talk about all of that at the end. But now let's watch a few live commentary clips of me killing Vorkath. All right, so we're here on like the mid 50s of KC for this boss. I'm actually not sure exactly because I haven't been keeping super close track. But what I want to do is kind of just give an update of where my I guess mental progress is. Now, I gotta say that this boss is just way smoother than I thought it would be at this point. I thought I was gonna have way more trouble with it while learning this new method, but I gotta say this method is so absolutely brain dead easy. There were a few things that I think that kind of gave me a little bit of trouble towards the start. You saw there that I clicked under myself during that freeze phase. That's actually very important because with the crossbow method, the attack ticks are just like a little bit different than with the blowpipe. So if you accidentally attack while you're frozen, your ticks or your attack ticks might be offset a little bit to where it's just not worth it. Or like when you go to cast Crumble Undead on that guy, you'll just end up taking a lot of damage because your attack will be delayed by 1 to 2 ticks because of the speed of the crossbow. Ooh, let's not die here. And that's not what you don't want to take damage on that phase if possible. But other than that, everything's been going relatively smoothly. The next thing that I want to kind of work on is handling that phase a little bit better. Like, I should be control clicking there, which would let me run instead of walk, which is something that I really do need to work on. And I think managing my prayer is also something that needs to be a higher focus of mine. Like, I should be turning off my prayer during all those special attack phases like that. And then the third thing that I think right now that I really need to focus on is honestly Wook's walking. I'd really like to get that down. I have it down with the blowpipe speed, but not with the crossbow. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Again, about 50 KC in. I think we're at like 58 KC in. So that's kind of where I'm at now mentally. So I'll see you guys in like another 50 or so. I don't know how often I'm going to record these live clips, but I'll see you guys in another 50 and we'll see how much progress I've made at that point. Hopefully by that point, I'm doing a little bit of Wook's walking, conserving some more supplies and really getting some high KC trips in. Just as a point of reference, right now I'm getting 3 to 4 kills per trip, and I'd really like to bump that up to 5 or 6 by the time we hit that next clip. But I'll see you guys in about 50 KC. Well, it has been a hot minute since I've talked to you guys. Well, for you, it's been about probably like 5 to 6 seconds, depending on how long I made the transition. But for me, it's been quite a while. We're about 100 KC, I think, past where we were the last time I recorded a clip. And we've made quite a bit of progress. We're about 4.5 mil left in our supplies, so over halfway done with our goal here. And I thought it was maybe time to try Wook's walking. I've done it with a blowpipe before, but I've never really even tried to do it with a crossbow. So I wanted to kind of, since this series is really just a documenting of my thought process throughout the entire Vorkath process or learning curve, I guess, I thought it'd be appropriate to see or to record my very first attempt at Wook's walking. So I can't say I'm going to get it perfect. I can't say it's going to be at all even close to being good, but we'll give it a shot here. So I kind of know the general idea, and we're doing absolutely terrible at it right now. Absolutely horrible at it. So let's just try not to die. Yeah, that is, oof. That is not working for us. I think we're gonna need a little bit more practice. So the idea is to, instead of like the blowpipe method where you walk back and forth every one square because of the range and the speed of the blowpipe, with the crossbow you have to do a little bit of a manual walk, since it has a much slower attack speed. And you need more time in between each attack rather than every one square. So that's where the difficulty curve really comes into play, and that's where I'm definitely falling short here. And I think that's what I'm going to have to focus on, is just getting that timing down. And I didn't even swap my bolts, but that's okay. But that was my first attempt at Wook's walking with this method. So I'm going to try to perfect that, try to get it down a little bit more. Probably give it a try on stream just to see if I can get it going, but I can't promise too much. That time was definitely not ideal. We definitely have a lot of things to work on based on this attempt right here, but it's definitely a starting point. It definitely gives us something to work off of, which is really what the main goal of the series is. So that is it for this clip. Hope you guys enjoyed watching me absolutely fail at Wook's walking with a crossbow. I do also want to see if it's worth it to swap to a blowpipe instead of Wook's walk with the crossbow, but I don't know what the calculation is there. But that is it for this clip. I'll probably be back once I get the Wook's walking down, or when I'm out of supplies, whichever comes first. So now I want to wrap up some thoughts on Vorkath. Since the last commentary, the last clip was kind of halfway through, I'll give some closing thoughts now that I'm a little bit more experienced than I was in that clip. So I did learn to attack walk, or Wook's walk, towards the end fairly consistently, and I was able to get that 6 kill trip, which was pretty big for me. I know you can get more than 6 kills per trip, but with my level of skill and where I was the boss, 6 kills seems to be a pretty decent number. Showed me that I have a fairly decent grasp on the boss encounter, so that was pretty cool to see. But I think one of the biggest things that really helped push for higher or more consistent kills per hour was just kind of having a complete grasp on the entire boss fight in general. Knowing when to eat, knowing when to Wook's walk and when to just walk around and heal up, knowing how to not lose DPS by, again, eating at the right times. And that's one of the biggest things for this boss that I think I learned, is knowing when to heal up and knowing how much to heal up. If you have to eat during the normal phases or during one of the phases that's not either the freeze or the poison phase, you're losing a lot of time. Compared to the blowpipe, the crossbow has a much slower attack speed. So wasting an entire attack eating loses you a considerable amount of DPS. So being able to just be comfortable with the boss enough to know when I have to eat and when I don't have to eat really helped push those higher kills per hour. And I think in general, that was probably one of the biggest things that helped push me to get more consistent kills. Yeah, learning the Wook's walks or the attack walk was nice, and it kind of felt good to learn relatively consistently, but actually being able to put as much DPS in the regular phases as I can is really what pushed me forward and started getting me higher kills per hour. But that kind of wraps up my thoughts on Vorkath. Overall, a very fun boss. I'm glad I decided to do this one first because I enjoyed it. It's a boss that I haven't done a whole lot, and I'm glad that I was able to get a little bit of experience on. But now let's get into what you guys actually probably came for, the numbers. So after 10 mil supplies or 10 mil GP in supplies, this is what my bank looked like. Now I did have like a little bit of extra money, and I could have sold some fish. I could have sold some of the potions and gotten like an extra kill or two, but I didn't think it'd be worth it. I didn't want to dip below 100k just in case I died. So this is what I ended up with. And the manta rays, I got a lot of them as drops, so I didn't even consider selling those for extra supplies. So it is what it is. This is the ending loot tab with 296 kills. So over 10 mil, I got 296 kills. And over those kills, I died a total of 8 times. And those deaths were actually split up pretty evenly throughout the course of this entire experience. Some were towards the beginning. A few came when I was learning the Wook's Walk method. And then a few came just from me not paying enough attention to the boss in general. So 8 kills is what I had in the total amount of time. And again, I'm not the best PVMer out there, but I think it gives a realistic view of how many times the average person may die to this boss while trying to learn some of the higher efficiency methods, or trying to learn this boss at an efficient level. So in total, with those deaths and with all those kills, I made 45.9 mil before subtracting the supply amount. And when we do the easy calculation of just subtracting 10 mil from that, it comes out to 35.9 mil profit. Now, over the course of these 296 kills, I averaged about 17 to 20 kills per hour. Again, it varied depending on what I was learning or how much attention I was paying. Keep in mind, I was streaming for most of this, so that obviously took a little bit of my attention off of the boss. But that's around the kills per hour that I was able to get, which brings the GP per hour anywhere between 1.8 and around 2.4 mil. Now, obviously, if you have more experience on the boss or you're a little bit better at PVM than I am, your numbers will vary. But what I wanted to do with this video specifically is give an idea, or a realistic idea, of how much profit you can make through the learning process of Vorkath using the method that I did. So I hope I was able to help you in that aspect. If you're thinking about starting Vorkath, but you're not sure if it's worth it, I hope this was able to help you make that decision. Now, in general, all in all, I had a great time. I enjoy the boss. I think Vorkath is one of the better designed bosses, and I think it's an enjoyable encounter to repeatedly do over and over. So I would highly suggest trying it out if you're anywhere close to where I am in terms of skill levels and gear. If you're a little bit lower in levels, it can be worth it, but your kills per hour drastically starts to drop off the more either skills or gear that you don't have. So if you're not using a Dragon Hunter crossbow and you have 85 range, you're going to drop significantly in GP per hour, but it's still a relatively entertaining boss, so I would still suggest at least giving it a try. But that is all I have for this boss, or for this video specifically. Again, if you have another boss you want to see this done on, let me know in the comments below. If it's a boss I haven't done previously, it will be like this, more of a learning experience documentary. If it's a boss I've done quite a bit, it'll be more of an efficient standpoint, coming from someone who obviously has more experience on the boss. So if any of that interests you, just let me know which boss. And if you want to see that boss done in a specific gear setup, either low, mid, or high gear, or max gear, let me know too, and I'll take that into consideration. But again, that is all I have for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I will see you next time.